All right, you all set? Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call together the meeting tonight. It is a Town of Queensbury Town Board meeting. It's a regular Town Board meeting. The date is September 14th, 2020, and the time is 7:01 p.m. Before I begin the regular agenda items, would you please all join Councilperson Amanda McGee in saying the pledge? Stand and say the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, thank you and welcome. All right. The first items that we're going to deal with, we have to go into the local board of health to do so. There are some public hearings to set, and there's some subject disposal variance applications to consider. So, and there's 5 of those items tonight. So if the town board's willing, I would appreciate a motion to move into the Queensbury Local Board of Health, please. Moved by Councilperson McGee.
Second.
Seconded by Councilperson Menavere. All those in favor of moving into the Queensbury Local Board of Health, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It appears to be unanimous. We're now in the Queensbury Local Board of Health. Item 1-1, please, Karen O'Brien.
Okay, it's a public hearing, sewage disposal variance application of John Graziano.
Okay. Now we do have some language changes being proposed for this, but because John Graziano is no longer the owner, and I believe that this is the one where, and this is regards to 2 Sunset Lane, and I have a letter from John Graziano, and this is to inform the board of some recent changes that have an effect on my application for a wastewater variant. This application will be reviewed by the board on Monday, September 14th, to be in compliance with the Queensbury transfer law. I was in the process of having a replacement wastewater system designed and permitted by Dennis McElroy, who is standing before us now. The Environmental Design Partnership. The actual construction of the system will be conducted by the new owner, Mario Kowalczyk and Patricia Kowalczyk. Due to some mutual timeframe conditions of the purchase agreement, the property transfer took place prior to Labor Day weekend, so Mr. and Mrs. Kowalczyk are now the current owners of the 2 Sunset Lane property. It was and is my intent to transfer the anticipated variance approval to the new owner as the variance aligns with the land. I authorize the transfer of this application to Mr. Kowalczyk so it can proceed with the public hearing and review at your meeting on September 14, 2020. We are aware of this. Our town attorney has proposed some changes to this application, and we are having a public hearing on this application tonight. And they are asking for basically one variance. And that variance is to be 80 foot from the neighboring well in lieu of the required 100-foot setback on the property located at 2 Sunset Lane in the town of Queensborough. And as it says in the paperwork, no location of the Graziano lot, now it is the Kowalczyk, could meet the 100-foot setback from the neighbor's well. So, they tried to do their best in putting this sewage disposal program together. So, and they are putting in an Elgin system, and it is a 4-bedroom place. So Do you wish to propose the language changes now, or would you like Dennis McElroy?
And after the public.
All right, so Mr. McElroy, if you'll proceed with further clarifications for us.
Good, thank you. This property is 2 Sunset Lane, which is in the corner of Assembly Point Road and Sunset Lane. As indicated, it has recently transferred. The seller was in the process of securing this variance of a replacement system to be compliant with current standards. Just the timing of the transfer of the property was such that they closed before Labor Day. So it beat us to the meeting here tonight. But both buyer and seller are in agreement and have written letters to the board indicating their acceptance of the circumstances. The system is a standard system using an Elgin GSF lateral system. What we have proposed, because we're lacking in that separation distance to the neighboring well, and it's actually two properties away, because the in-between property is only 50 feet wide, so we're still shy of the 100 feet from the property 2 doors away. That's the cart property. But we're suggesting in adding a UV disinfection system to the discharge from the septic tank to further treat the effluent before it's discharged. We've had conversations with Representative Art Family. I'm not sure if Chris Hart had written a note to the board. I have one from him to me that indicates that they didn't have an objection to the system. But that is.
I'm just curious, did the septic transfer law get triggered in here? Or?
It will, yes. Yes.
Well, it already.
Right. There'll be a posting of the $2,000 deposit by probably the seller, or excuse me, probably the buyer.
The other thing was, it was a 2-bedroom, and now it's a 4-bedroom. So they had to expand the discharge to comply. That's why Dennis said they can't get to 100 feet. It's a pretty big discharge area.
It does occupy pretty much the same footprint as the existing system. It's just that now we're using the Elgin GSF units, and they increase the capacity within the same area as previously used by a conventional stone and pipe trench.
Any other questions from Mr. McElroy? Okay, thank you, Dennis. If you can continue your seat, we may need you to come back a little bit later. So town council, would you please go through some wording changes you're proposing?
Well, we're going to have a public.
Yeah, we are going to have a public hearing, but I want the public to be clear as to what the resolution is.
And the changes are only if the town board's in agreement of approving the application. We would propose 2 changes. One, we would add a whereas to be the third whereas. Second, and what is currently the third? Whereas Mr. Graziano has sold the premises to Mario and Patricia Walczyk, who will make the necessary wastewater system improvements. And then in the resolved sections, the second resolve, which says you approve the application of John Graziano for a variance that ends with, description of the property being variant tax map number 226.19-2-17. I would propose that we add and authorizes the transfer of the variance to the new property owners, Mario and Patricia Kowalczyk, contingent upon the new property owners complying with the town's septic transfer law to the satisfaction of, now we forget Dave Hatton's title, but whatever his title is.
Code enforcement officer.
Yes, Director of Building and Codes, sorry. So that would be my proposal. We do have to comply with the septic transfer law, but if you're in agreement with the variance, this would let it move forward and you don't have to comply with it and fix the property.
Okay. Any questions on behalf of the town board, thoughts or concerns with the proposed amendment of the resolution? All right. With that basis, I'll open the public hearing, and we'll have the public hearing. There'll be folks who are present today will be given the first opportunity to speak to this application for sanitary sewage disposal variances. And then I will also allow anybody who is watching through Zoom to raise a little blue hand, and I will address that. Or you can call in. If you're watching this through YouTube, you can call in, and here's the phone, and the number to call in at is area code 518-761-8225. So if you have a question on this particular application for sanitary sewage disposal variance, you'll be given an opportunity in that order. So for the folks who are here first, is there anybody here who would like to speak to this proposed resolution before the town board tonight? All right, seeing nobody here in the public, is there anybody through Zoom who would like to speak to this proposed application for sanitary sewage disposal variance? I see none. Anybody like to call in? Again, area code 518-761-8225. Okay, I'm not hearing anything. So I think I've given the public ample opportunity to speak to this variance. I'll close the public hearing. Any remaining questions on behalf of the board? Or
I just have one question. I'm curious how the closing was able to happen with something like this, because it feels as if it puts us in a position that we, not that I want to say no, but that we couldn't realistically.
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that.
This is,
I think excuse me, Tony.
no, I agree. Just, it seems like, our system failed us, and I don't understand it.
I don't know that it failed you. The system, as I understand it, or I've experienced before, is that a closing can take place, but Dave monitors any recordings from the county clerk's office on transfers. If he gets that list once every week or 2 weeks, something like that, he's told me, and he cross-references to properties that have gone through an inspection, then he notifies those buyers that they need to post their deposit and get on with the program. So in that sense, it certainly works. Dave called me this morning. I didn't talk to him directly, but he was aware of this situation and was just looking for some information about it. Now, again, I didn't talk to him directly, but because I thought that I had conveyed that last week when we met on the site. So I think the system still works. It's just that it's working maybe after a closing has taken place. I've been involved with other properties that similar situation has happened where it's caught up with them after the actual closing, but the system still has gone into place.
I just think it's a huge threat to the lake, and the lake is important to all of us, and we should put something in place so that, you know, I think about the times that I have bought a home and the hurdles and the arduous task of getting to the finish line. I understand Dave has a lot on his plate, but I think in the future, particularly with this sort of variance.
But I don't think we're sitting here where this is a situation where something was done and we were not aware of it. It was made aware that even though the sale went through, that they're still having the septic system taken care of. So if that's something they got away from us, I don't see where there's an issue here.
Right. And you wouldn't, the building department wouldn't necessarily know of a closing unless there were communications to them directly beforehand. Certainly a closing, it's incumbent on the seller, on the buyer, on their attorneys to know, wait a second, this is a Queensbury transfer. There's something else attached to this process, justification or certification of the wastewater system.
Just
So
seems to me that this should have been a requirement of closing. We got there and were surprised that it was 4 bedrooms and that you didn't know who the owners of the house were.
Well, I knew who the owners of the
But
house, I knew who the applicant was, and I knew who the new owner was. But it's true, I just learned that day that the actual closing had happened the week before. But again, it's not a failure of the system, because the system would have required that. When Dave found a transfer, found that an inspection hadn't been done, he would have implemented that process of requiring the same $2,000 deposit. In this case, the buyer, the new owner, no doubt will be posting that and given 6 months to construct this system if it's approved. So I think the system does work. It can work in different ways.
Well,
And if the board's uncomfortable, there's nothing that makes you have to take any action tonight.
no,
You have to hold a public hearing. You can take some time and
I don't think
consider
that's the
and
issue.
face it at your
No,
next
I
meeting.
think it's more the idea that there could come a time when the town of Queensbury is in a position to have people who've bought a home maybe be made to feel uncomfortable and attacked because we're saying something needs to happen that somebody else promised to do. It seems a little muddy is all I'm saying.
We have to sit down with Dave and figure this out.
Well,
This is not a Dennis problem. This is our problem.
Yeah, and I apologize if I made it.
Okay, we'll look into that matter. Is there anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McElroy. All right, so does anybody want to discuss this further? All right, see none. How about a motion to approve Mario Patricia Kowalczyk's application for sanitary sewage disposal variant?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Perone,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilperson Menafeer. Roll call vote on this, please, Karen.
Councilperson Freer,
yes.
Brown,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Stroud.
Yeah.
Menavere.
So unanimously passes. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next, and we do have a public hearing on this as well, is Karen.
Okay, public hearing sewage disposal variance application of Scott and Carol Sabraco.
All right, so, Scott and Carol Sabraco filed an application for variances. And it's on 22 acres, it's a 2-bedroom, and the address is 2952 State Route 9L, also known as Ridge Road. They are proposing to put a Claris Fusion 450 And that's going to include a force main. The lot is characterized by steep terrain. The explorer soil field will consist of 5 15-foot laterals. Soil tests were good. They're asking for two variances from the code. One, first variance. 8 foot from the easterly property line in lieu of the required 10-foot setback. And the second variance they are requesting is 5 foot from the southern property line in lieu of the required 10-foot setback. So, this is Scott Sabraco.
Correct.
All right. Is there anything more that you would like to add?
Yeah, well, the 8-foot variance is off of 9L. I mean, it's quite a distance off of 9L. And the 5-foot distance is off of Ed Holohan's property. I did speak to Ed. He did give you guys a sign off. He okayed it. You should have a copy of that. This was a replacement of, when we got into this job, I bought the house in June of 19 with the $2,000. I had to put $2,000 deposit down, say I get the job done in 6 months. I did hire an engineer. We got our plans approved by the town. The original plan was to put the fusion unit in and reuse the existing dry well. I brought Nick Diego, can tell you why we couldn't do that when he, started the construction. So what ended up happening is we did put the fusion unit in. We could not use the existing dry well. So we kind of got tied up. This is back in last December. The town disapproved my system. And, they took my $2,000 at this point. I'm trying to get it back, but that's something I'd like you guys to consider. So from December, when it got disapproved, I brought the engineer back. He did some soil testing in April because of the winter months. We got our new design, which, is the laterals with the stone. And just to fit it in the footprint, those are the variances that we need.
All right, and I understand that there are some questions from the town board on this project. Like to.
Yeah, so it looked to me that there was 3-inch PVC above ground feeding the system. Is that the way it's designed, and is that the code?
I don't know if that's the code. There is a line, above ground line coming up from the house down below, up to the top of the mountain, and then it feeds into the new fusion tank.
Is this a year-round residence?
No. It says it's a 2-bedroom. It's a 1-bedroom on the lake. Barely has a kitchen in it. It's basically a dock and a 1-bedroom.
And then the outhouse that is in between, is that?
That was there when I bought the property.
So it's not?
No, it's not
Not
being
functional?
No.
Okay. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
It adds character. That's what my.
Oh, okay. Touche. Yeah, so I just found it curious that the 3-foot, several hundred foot, 3-inch PVC was what was driving that. I've never seen that before, and certainly in the winter that wouldn't function.
It does get. There's a pit at the bottom. It gets drained back into that pit, that line, during the winter. It's not used during the winter.
Harrison was the bravest of the group. He actually went down that trail all the way to the bottom and followed the line. So just to let you know. The question I had was, we were talking and I just had some concerns. So the tank and the field is going to be at the top. You have a garage there. Apparently there's some parking in the front. Things are tight there. People might have a tendency, if you have more than people that fit in the driveway, to park on top of the system. Would like to see some kind of barrier fence or something just to prevent people from parking on top of that, because you don't want that to happen.
I did draw on my plan I have room with the existing paving and the garage. With that system, I have room for 4 cars with, 8 foot by 18-foot spots.
Yeah.
And I agree that there would be a tendency to go pull over there and
park
so-
over there. So yeah.
Yeah. But I do have that parking, and I do own the house across the street, which that's where we sleep. That's the big house,
Okay.
which has plenty of parking. So
But George's point is, unless you physically,
put a curb up or a
something
fence
there,
or something.
you know,
yeah.
the people who visit will park there, and that will deteriorate the system's design essentially, right?
Right.
Because it'll
The
compact,
field. Mhm.
it'll prevent. Now, if the engineer wants to challenge that, I'm happy to listen to him.
No, listen. He's a contractor.
Oh.
I'm an engineer, but my engineer's not here. But no, I agree. If you park on the system, it's not made to be parked on. So
So the
Again, something minimally to go there so people will be prevented from parking.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so put a railroad tie or some kind of curbing up.
So you want to add that to the resolution eventually, is that there's going to be some kind of obstruction? We have fence, boulders,
Curbing,
railroad
whatever.
ties,
Yeah.
some kind of satisfactory obstruction to prevent vehicles from parking over this information bed area?
Right.
Okay,
Will it be to the satisfaction of the director of building and codes?
yeah,
yeah.
That makes it very easy.
so if you
And
could
so
work
before you get your final permit, you should talk with them about what would be satisfactory, so that's approved.
Okay.
on- Okay,
And the permit.
all right. Anything else, Mr. Sbrocco? I'm going to open the public hearing on this.
Oh no, that's it.
All right, please have a seat. Thank you. All right, I'm going to open the public hearing, and we'll do it in the same order. If there's anybody who are present who wishes to speak to this, I will give them the opportunity first, and then I will give and then I'll give the opportunity to anybody that is watching us on YouTube and wants to do a call in. So area code 518-761-8225. All right, so from the people here in the audience, is there anyone here who would like to speak to the resolution before us tonight to consider Scott and Carol Sbrocco's application for sanitary sewage variance? Seeing no interested parties who are present tonight, nobody watching us on Zoom has shown any interest. Colin, area code 518-761-8225.
Glenn, while we're waiting for that, I just wanted to let folks know, if you're maintaining 6-foot distance, you can take your mask off. If you get up to move around or somebody approaches, you should keep your mask on. You're welcome to keep your mask on, but it's not required. And I see some people who might feel like they're getting a little choked up there.
All right. Having no call-ins, I think I've satisfied the public hearing requirement for this application, so I'll close the public hearing. All right, anybody like to put forward a motion approving?
Want me to give the language?
Oh, yeah, do you want to give us some language on that, the final language?
For the town board's consideration.
Okay.
Okay. Resolved that this resolution is contingent upon there being sufficient barriers permanently placed and maintained to prevent parking over the septic system. It was only over one part of the septic system.
Over the septic system,
So over the septic,
infiltration bed part, not the septic system,
so filtration bed.
just the infiltration bed.
infiltration hood,
Yeah,
which barriers must be approved by the director of building and codes in advance of construction.
all right.
Does that
And
seem
the
consistent?
resolution okay with the person who, the council person who made
Yes.
the motion?
Yes.
All right, so the motion originally was made to approve by Councilperson McGee, and it was seconded by Councilperson Metafield. And is that amendment to the resolution satisfactory to you? Tony?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we can have a formal vote on that.
Councilperson Brown,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Strapp,
Yeah.
Medevere,
Yes.
Freer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one other question.
Okay.
The $2,000 deposit I did put down,
When you get done with the system and it meets the requirements, and is that,
I did get a letter from Dave Hayton in December saying I missed my 6 months and I forfeit my $2,000. So I'm just pleading with you that I did buy the house in June. I did a design in August. I started the construction. I ran into some difficulties. I'm here to do the right thing. You know, I don't know how do I go about, getting my money back, or is it going?
all right, so
I think
if
we can
it's,
look into that and report to the board.
all right.
Have Dave get input from Dave.
Yeah, we'll get input from Dave. We'll find out what's going on. There is a process for you to
Okay.
get your $2,000 back, and we'll look into that.
Have you been working with
But
David?
it's not a commitment, right?
No,
No, I don't.
I mean, the way that it's written, if people,
we'll look into
to deal with the concerns of people
All
don't
right.
do things within the
Okay,
time
we'll
frame.
see what we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, next, we're still in the local board of health. 1.3, please, Karen.
A resolution setting public hearing on sewage disposal variance application of James Broda.
All right, James Broda lives at 136 Cloverdale Road. It's a 2-bedroom camp, it's seasonal. He's replacing the leaching system or the infiltration pad, it goes by different words, means the same thing. And he's asking for 2 variances from the town code. The first variance that he's requesting is that the system, the leaching system, be 65 feet from the well and lower the 100-foot setback. And the second variance is 10 foot from the dwelling and lower the required 20-foot setback. And this is a residence on 136 Pleasant Road. And this is to set the public hearing. The public hearing will be on Monday, September 28th. Any questions before we go to a motion to set the public hearing? No. Seeing none, how about a motion?
So move.
Second.
By Councilman Freer, seconded by Councilperson Brown. Roll call vote on this, please, Karen.
Councilperson McGee,
Yes.
Strapp,
Yeah.
Medevere.
Yes.
Freer.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, so this public hearing will be on Monday, September 28th, for a sewage disposal variance application for James Broda of 136 Cloverdale Road. Next. 1.4.
Resolution setting public hearing on sewage disposal variance application of Sarah Landers, Amanda Stites, and Megan O'Day.
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Karen. This is for a residence located on 15 Signpost Road. They have a non-conforming leach pit. And that's a form of infiltration pad, although it's a leach pit. 62 feet from the lakeshore shoreline. It's a 3-bedroom. And that's the only variance that they're asking for. They do have a fuse from 450 going into the leach pit. And again, it's 15 Signpost Road. And this is to set the public hearing for Monday, September 28th, here at the town board meeting here at the Activity Center. Any questions before we go to a motion to set the public hearing?
No.
All right, I'll consider a motion to set the public hearing.
Make a motion.
Motion made
Second.
by Councilperson McGee, seconded by Councilperson Brown.
Rear.
Freer, I'm sorry. A roll call vote on this, please.
Sure. Councilperson Strapp,
Yeah.
Medevere?
Yes.
Freer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McGee?
Okay, so the public hearing will be on Monday, September 28th for a residence on 15 Pinewood Road. 1.5, please, Karen.
Resolution setting public hearing on sewage disposal variance application of Keith and Sarah Barton.
Okay, Keith and Sarah Barton have a residence on 120 South North. They were asking for 4 variances. They want to install a septic system. And the infiltrator H20 chamber absorption system be located beneath the driveway. The second variance they're asking is for the absorption field to be 1.5 inches from the property lines to the required 10-foot setback. The third variance they're asking is for the septic tank to be 3.5 feet from the property lines to the required 10-foot setback. And the fourth variance is for the distribution box to be 1.5 inches from the property line instead of the required 10-foot setback. And again, the residence located at 120 Sunnyside North. And this is set for public hearing for Monday, September 28th. We're going to be looking at public hearing and sewage disposal area. Any further questions on this particular resolution set the public hearing?
No. Nope.
Then I'll consider a motion to set the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made by Councilperson Brown, seconded by Councilperson McGee. Roll call vote to set the public hearing, please. Karen?
Councilperson Medevere?
Yes.
Freer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
Stroud?
Yes, so the public hearing is set now on this residence on 120 Sunnyside North for Monday, September 28th. Those are all the items that I have for the Queensborough Local Board of Health. So before we move on to other agenda items, we need to move out of the Queensborough Local Board of Health. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
All right, moved by Councilperson Brown, seconded by Councilperson Freer, I believe, right?
Or me. I seconded it.
Councilperson Medevere seconded. I stand corrected. Roll call, all those in favor of moving out of the local Queensbury Board of Health, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. We're now out of the Queensbury Local Board of Health. We'll move on to other agenda items. We do have another public hearing tonight. And Karen, please tell the public about the public hearing we have.
Okay, public hearing, Bay Ridge Volunteer Fire Company Inc.'s proposal to purchase rescue utility vehicle and incurrence of tax-free financing debt for such purchase.
All right. So, Bay Ridge Volunteer Fire Company would like to purchase a 2021 Chevrolet rescue utility vehicle to replace its 1997 Ford Rescue utility vehicle for a purchase price not to exceed $90,000. The vehicle is part of the vehicle replacement program for Bay Ridge, and it's online to be replaced. And the older vehicle will either be sold, and then that would be put against the principal, or they would trade in. In other words, to reduce the debt. So they are not asking for the town board for additional money. This is within their budget, as we have asked all 5 fire departments and 3 EMS squads. We have 8 organizations that we deal with to provide you with emergency services. Mostly volunteer. We're very lucky in the town of Queensbury to have these volunteers who offer their time free, and it's considerable time. In any event, I could go on about that, and I think this board and the public does appreciate what they do for us. In any event, they still need our approval to go ahead with this purchase, even though it's not changing their budgetary status at all. It's in line with their budget. It is in line with their replacement program. They just still need our approval. And we are going to have a public hearing about it. because it's your money, it's taxpayer money. And I will do the same thing. I will ask any of the members of the public who are present tonight, and I will ask the Zoom people, and then I will ask the people who are watching us through YouTube. Okay, but before I open the public hearing, any thoughts, questions, or anything on behalf of the town board here on this matter? And not at this time. Okay, then I will open the public. Is there anyone here present tonight who would like to speak to this resolution approving Bay Ridge Volunteer Fire Company's proposal to purchase a 2021 Chevrolet Rescue utility vehicle and authorizing occurrence of the tax-free financing debt for such purpose? Seeing no interest of people present. Anybody through Zoom? Anybody through YouTube? And the phone number is area code 518-761-8225. Monday Night Football is tonight, so let's hurry them up. All right, I'm hearing no interest on behalf of the public to speak to this particular resolution. Any further thoughts on behalf of the town board before we go to a motion to approve? All right, I'll consider a motion to approve. I'll close the public hearing.
I'll introduce.
Introduced by Councilperson Medavere. Seconded by Councilperson McGee. Roll call vote on this, please, Karen.
Councilperson Ferrand,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Strapp,
Yeah.
Medavere,
Yes.
Brick.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Good luck, and thank you all of the volunteers in the Bay Ridge Volunteer Fire Company. Look forward to seeing your new vehicle. All right, those are, that's it for public hearings this evening anyway. We will move on to resolutions, and we have quite a few resolutions, so I will try and explain and describe each of the 27 resolutions. And then I will give the public a chance to ask questions, share thoughts on any of the resolutions before the town board tonight. If you have another town-related question, but it doesn't necessarily have a relationship to the resolutions before, I will give you that opportunity later on in the meeting to speak to that. But this part of the meeting is just to the resolutions, okay? But I will give you an opportunity to speak to other matters later on in the meeting. So, let's go through, we usually don't, well, it's been a while since we've had 26. We kind of got spoiled with only having 11, 12, 13, 14 resolutions. All right, Karen, you want to introduce the first one, and I'll do some explaining.
Okay. Resolution authorizing establishment of water treatment plant campus improvements capital project fund number 232.
Okay, we have a lot of things that need to be done in our water department. An enhanced security system, an improved fence, a new roof. There are other things. And we would like to set aside a capital project for those things of $150,426.48. 4.2.
Resolution authorizing engagement of Cheap Beats Lawn Care for one-time cleanup and mowing of abandoned or neglected property located at 404 6th Avenue.
Our Director of Building and Codes has determined that this place needs a little cleaning up. That's 404 6th Avenue. So unless they get it cleaned up, this is authorizing Cheap Beat to go in there and clean it up a bit, and then we'll add it to the taxes, whatever it costs us. 4.3.
Resolution setting public hearing on 2021 Glen Lake Aquatic Plant Growth Control District benefit tax roll.
Okay, this is the same rate as it has been. It's no increase, it's no decrease, and this is to set the public hearing, and the public hearing will be Monday, September 28th, for the Glen Lake Aquatic Plant Growth Control District benefit tax roll. And again, they have their own meetings where they discussed, and it probably wasn't unanimous, but the consensus was that they would like the tax rate to stay the same, Glen Lake Association, Protective Association, all those people involved are doing a great job at managing the invasive species in their lake. They are currently working with me and Tony to develop a comprehensive management plan for the entire lake. That will include everything, not just invasive species, but that's worth it. For now, this is just at the benefit tax roll, and again, no change, but there will be a public hearing if you wish to speak to this. We're setting it for Monday, September 28th. 4.4.
Resolution setting public hearing on 2021 Lake Sunnyside Aquatic Plant Growth Control District Benefit Tax Rate.
All right, this is the same thing, only for Lake Sunnyside. We're setting the public hearing on Monday, September 28th, and again, the rate is the same. And the folks there at Lake Sunnyside are doing a great job at managing invasive species on that lake. And they do wish to do more than just the plant growth issues. There are septic issues and so forth, and they're looking at that. But this resolution is set the public hearing Monday, September 28th on the benefit tax roll, which remains the same. 4.5.
Resolution setting public hearing on 2021 North Queensbury Wastewater Disposal District Dunn's Bay Benefit Tax Roll.
All right, this was one of the first of its kind, the North Queensbury Wastewater Disposal District. They've had a very quiet year, and it is basically they did system inspections, they helped with system replacements. The water quality in Dunn's Bay has improved, and the scientific analysis is confirming that, especially in areas of the lake off the shoreline from where these systems have improved. We notice the water quality and the type of algae that is adjacent to that piece of property has improved. All right, and this is being done in coordination with the Punta Lake George and the waterkeeper, Chris Nowinski, and Kathy Pizzoni. All right, since they were quiet, basically, because COVID related, they're proposing a less amount. So for next year, their amounts that they're going to impose is 85% less than it was for this year. And they're having a public hearing also, and it's being established by this resolution for Monday, September 28th. 4.6.
Resolution setting public hearing on 2021 Queensbury Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District Benefit Tax Roll.
All right, this is public hearing, September 28th. I think that's when I'll ask Tony to take over.
I was just thinking that.
If you like,
I was just thinking that. Gonna have to take a nap
We're gonna
before
have
this.
lots of public hearings. And, all right, so this is the Queensbury Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District, and we're proposing a 0.7, in other words, 0.7% increase for next year. But anybody who wishes to speak to this will have the opportunity to do so, because this resolution is set the public hearing for September 28th. 4.7.
resolution setting public hearing on 2021 Reservoir Park Sanitary Sewer District Benefit Tax Roll.
All right, this is a 2021 Reservoir Park. This is an increase of 6.7% being proposed. Why? They have a very old system over there in Reservoir Park, and the director of wastewater for the county of Queensbury, Chris Harrington, wishes to increase the fund balance so that as things occur in this particular area, because it's an older system, he will have the funding to immediately replace or fix the system. It's old plate pipe, et cetera, over here, so that accounts for the 6.7% increase. But again, we're setting a public hearing for this, and the public will have an opportunity to speak to this Monday, September 28th, if this resolution is passed on the town board tonight. 4.8.
Resolution setting public hearing on 2021 Route 9 Sanitary Sewer District Benefit Tax Roll.
All right, okay, this went up 3.2%, a little bit more than you might expect. It's a pretty stable system, but we've had a force main replacement over on Meadowbrook. And so the band is added to the cost of that system and replacing that and upgrading that. And so it's a 3.2% increase being asked, and we're setting a public hearing to discuss that. The public hearing will be set if the town board approves Monday, September 28th.
John, this says September 14th.
Well, resolve that the town board shall hold a public hearing on Monday, September 28th.
Where?
4.7.
4-7, sorry.
447? Yeah, okay, that's a typo. That's a good catch. That should be the 28th. Very good, Tony. All right, Bob?
Yep.
Moving on to 4.9.
Resolution setting public hearing on 2021 South Queensbury, Queensborough Avenue Sanitary Sewer District Benefit Tax Rate.
Okay, 3.2% increase on that. Setting the public hearing for Monday, September 28th. And this is the South Queensbury Avenue Sanitary Sewer District. 4.10.
Resolution setting public hearing on 2021 West Queensbury Consolidated Sewer District Benefit Tax.
All right, and this is going down 8.1%. It's going down because the ban, which moved to a bond, was basically rewritten and extended for a 30-year term, which reduced the annual cost. So this is proposed to go down 8.1%. But if you wish to speak to this, this is a resolution to set the public hearing for Monday, September 28th for the West Queensbury Consolidated Sewer. That's you. All right, 4.11.
Resolution authorizing award of bid for purchase of pickup truck for town water department.
All right. Town Water Department has a 2009 Ford Ranger pickup truck with 95,000 miles. All right. The Water Department Superintendent Chris Harrington would like to replace that with something more reliable. And he did do a bid, and we did approve the bid. The bids came in. The lowest bid was for a 2020 Dodge Ram 2500 Tradesman four-wheel drive pickup truck. And it went to the lowest responsible bidder, Robert Green Auto and Truck, for an amount not to exceed $27,379.18. So you try and go out and buy a 2020 Dodge Ram 2500 Tradesman four-wheel drive pickup truck for $27,000 and change. Good luck. Pretty good deal. 4.12.
Resolution authorizing seeking of bids through New York State Office of General Services procurement program or local bid for a truck for building and grounds department.
All right, building and grounds department has been having a lot of trouble with the 2012 F-350 pickup truck. This is the truck they depend on to do the snow plowing, and it has been a headache for a variety of issues. And I talked to the building and ground superintendent, Chuck Rice, today, and he says, there's a lot of frustration, a lot of money on maintenance. He would just like to go out to bid, see what's out there for getting a new 2012 F-350 pickup truck. Or a 2020 or newer F-350 Super Duty or equal or equivalent pickup truck and replace the 2012 350 pickup truck with 53,329 miles. 413.
Resolution authorizing transportation agreement between City of Glens Falls, Greater Glens Falls Transit System, and Town of Queensbury for 2021-2022.
All right, this is the Greater Glens Falls Transit System. It's the bus system. Queensbury is part of the system. We all contribute along with, they do receive federal and state funding, but we all chip in a little. based on, our local share. So the city of Glens Falls chips in 56,734, no change. Town of Queensbury, 59,137, no change. Town of Cornell, Town of Lake George, Village of Lake George, Town of Bolton, Town of Warrensburg, Town of Kingston, we all chip it to the buses. And so local share is for Queensbury, $59,137, and that's to approve our local share, no different than previous year. 414,
Resolution authorizing local tourism promotion and convention development agreements between Town of Queensbury and certain organizations.
all right, so we just received $50,000 in LACTAP from the county. And they've been very slow about getting this year's allocations out. Well, for one thing, a lot of the applications that are put out are for events that simply didn't happen. So we did not allocate for those events that did not happen here at the town of Queensborough. So we have $50,000. We don't have too many other requests that I can even think of. And the town board knows how desperate some of our cultural institutions are. And they need help. And if you're thinking about donating this year for your tax write-offs, they would appreciate it as well. So this is to take $10,000 each and give it to Chapman, Art Museum, and Peter Canal. This is occupancy tax. Our thinking is that these institutions are vital to keeping the tourism industry healthy and alive in our region. 39% of the people go on vacation with the idea that they are going to enjoy with some of the cultural activities of the particular area that they're visiting, such as museums. So they are an asset to the tourism industry. And that's one reason why we're allocating that money, or proposing to allocate that money, if it gets approved tonight, to the Chapman Museum, the Art Museum, and the Peter Canal of $10,000 each. 415.
Resolution authorizing community service agreements between Town of Queensbury and certain organizations.
All right, we have another, not for occupational tax or tax related. This is what we call our community fund. The Kathleen Center provides transportation for our seniors in our general area, including Queensbury. The cost of the vehicle, the cost of the driver, the cost of the gas, the cost of the maintenance and so forth, and administration, they've asked us to chip in $10,000 for that. The Friends of Mountainside Library, it's a library in northern Queensbury. They've asked for $1,500 to help pay the lights and so forth. And then the Glens Falls Area Youth Center was asked for $12,000. They have reactivated the youth center. And I got to thank the people that are involved with that. And they've asked for $12,000 to keep their operations going. And that comes out of the community fund. 416.
Resolution authorizing the engagement of Chief Pete's Lawn Care to remove certain abandoned or neglected property in Town of Queensbury located at 42 Luzerne Road.
All right, 42 Luzerne Road is not looking so good. So unless the owner cleans it up before Chief Pete gets over it, Chief Pete is going to clean it up. And the costs that will pay Chief Pete will go on to their taxes. So they will ultimately pay for this anyway. So why don't you just get it cleaned up? 417.
Resolution authorizing appointment of Ron Nolan as instrument technician at Water Department.
All right, Mike Trombley is retiring. Mike Trombley is one heck of an employee for the town of Queensborough. His skill set is going to be very difficult to replace, but fortunately, Water Superintendent Chris Harrington found what appears to be a very good replacement for Mike Trombley when he does retire, and we're going to have a good succession plan here, and that is Ron Nolan. So here we have a water department that services 40,000 people. So you're saying, well, wait a minute, Queensbury is only 30,000 people. Yeah, but we supply water to Moreau, Queensbury, Hudson Falls, Port Edward. And we have emergency services agreements with Southwest Falls and Glens Falls. So, you know, we are a global regional institution here. Anyways, so Ron Nolan has the skill sets needed, and this is a resolution of authorizing his appointment as instrument technician at the water department. 418.
Resolution authorizing closure of panic alarm system at water treatment plant capital project fund number 224.
All right, this is part of the water treatment plant campus improvement capital project number 3232. And when it's closing fund or 224, I'm putting this excess $22,592.85 into the water treatment plant campus improvement fund. And I've mentioned this before. We need to improve the fencing. We need to improve security. We need to improve some of the roofs. So there's capital expenditures we need to do. So we're taking it out of account where it doesn't need to be used anymore and putting it into this where we're going to need to spend it. 419.
Resolution authorizing agreement between Town of Queensbury and Stelco Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless.
All right, we have Verizon Wireless now for our cell phones. The employees get cell phones. I have to pay for my own. I don't get any reimbursement for it. All right, stop the crying.
Yeah.
This is just to renew our cell phone agreement with Verizon Wireless for our cell phones. 420 is the state bill.
Resolution authorizing engagement of Invasive Solutions Dive Company LLC for 2 additional weeks of diver assisted suction harvesting at Glen Lake.
Okay, the folks in Glen Lake want to do a little bit more mechanical harvesting of some of the invasive plants in Glen Lake. And this is to allow another 2 weeks or 2 additional 40-hour work weeks for an amount of $14,960 in accordance with the Invasive Solutions Dive Company. If approved, this is what they wish to do. If approved, they'll go ahead and get 2 more weeks worth of invasive plant control through mechanical means. 421.
Resolution authorizing engagement of the Chasen Companies for professional technical services associated with Upper Northwest Trail Drainage Evaluation and establishment of Upper Northwest Trail Drainage Capital Project number 233.
All right. As you may have heard, if you watch any of our town board meetings, Northwest Road, there's a little, we used to be called, I think it still is, Northwest Village. And it's a very difficult place. I don't think we would approve a subdivision like that today, knowing the difficulties we've had with this one. One of the difficulties we've had, you know, can you imagine if you were snow plowing the road? But stormwater. You may have heard some of the residents come in and complain. You may have heard me say, well, listen, that may not be a town problem. Well, it's this and that, and the other thing, and it's causing some problems with town roads, and that's true. So it's a comprehensive. We have been up there several times to look at the problems. We see the evidence that there are problems. And the highway superintendent says, well, listen, if I fix the problem here, is it going to send stormwater down the road and cause problems with somebody else? I don't want to do that. And I said, I don't blame you. Because we solve a problem here, we create a problem here, we don't want to do that. So Chasen Company has been working very closely with us for, I think this has been going on our inspection of this issue for 3 years. So finally, we pulled the trigger. And Dave Duell, myself, members of the town board, we asked Chasen to put together a proposal. And they did. And we asked them to trim it back. And they did to give us just what we needed. So a comprehensive study of the stormwater situation with solutions to the problem up there. So this study will cost $29,900. Again, if a developer came before us today and asked for the same thing, knowing the problems we have, we probably wouldn't approve it. Unless the developer took on these responsibilities. But that Northwest Village, of course, that was approved, what? In the 70s, late 60s, whatever. 422, Karen.
Resolution authorizing termination of services with Unicity Software Consulting Associates and engagement of Verizon Connect for vehicle tracking subscription services.
All right, so we currently have municipal, which tracks our vehicles. They were sold. We're not particularly happy with the service. It's good things have come out of it. I mean, people making claims about the snowplow took down their mailbox at 7 a.m. and the snowplows do take down mailboxes and we do replace them. But in this case, the snowplow was nowhere near their mailbox. And we could prove it. We've had a couple people make accident claims that turned out to be not so accurate. This proved the accuracy. We had some employees doing some inappropriate things. Well, I guess they don't know we have a vehicle tracking system. We straightened out those behaviors. All right, but we've had problems. Verizon made a proposal. It appears to be a much better system. All right, and keep in mind, well, I'm going to tell you costs in a minute, but keep in mind that this system reduces our insurance rates, that it helps when we have these claims. It improves employee behavior. We have good employees, but they know that their vehicle's being watched. It has a vehicle maintenance program. So it makes sure that that maintenance program is being assured. It does geofencing. We can find out where any of our vehicles are at any time. It has warning systems. For example, if a snowplow is stopped for an hour, that's a problem. That might be an emergency situation. Maybe the driver has had a heart attack. We hope, but I'm just saying. This system will alert us that there is a problem with this particular vehicle. There's something unusual that's happening to it. But it also tells us if you're speeding, if you're going too fast, if you're braking too hard. It tells us a lot. So driver behavior becomes a lot improved. So, and it detects the maintenance system. So the Verizon product, we think, is a better product. We're going to get better service. We're going to improve driver safety. We're going to improve public safety. What were we paying for the old system? All right, we were paying about $13 a vehicle, okay, times 70 vehicles, so a little over $10,000 a year, almost $11,000 a year. Verizon's is more expensive. It's actually closer to $19 an hour times 70 vehicles, so that's almost $16,000 a year. So it's another $5,000 more, but it's a much more improved system. We would like to change over to the Verizon system if this town board sees the wisdom in doing so. 4.23.
Resolution authorizing promotion of Devin Stockman from labor to water maintenance worker 2.
All right, Devin Stockman's a good person and very appropriate to move to maintenance worker 2. 4.24.
Resolution ratifying the adoption of revised town of Queensbury COVID-19 pandemic response plan.
All right, as you know, we've been told by others who should know that we have one of the best pandemic response plans they've ever seen in the have in the capital region. All right, that's good to hear. And this is approving the proposed pandemic response plan for our town. In other words, our building, the way our employees behave, the way we expect our business to behave, and so forth. This whole setup, everything's in this plan. However, not part of the resolution tonight, but it's a little tidbit of information that I want to share with you while I'm on the topic. The governor has signed what is called the Pandemic Operations Plan. law. We will be required, and you can argue we got a good start on this, but we will be required, all public employers will be required to develop a plan for operations in the event of a declared public health emergency involving a communicable disease. So the plan has to be submitted to our union for their review on or before February 4th, 2021. And the plan must be finalized and adopted by this town on or before April 1st, 2021. The new law requires a significant amount of detail to be included in the plan. The Department of Labor is going to create an online portal for public employees to report violations of health and safety rules for communicable diseases such as COVID-19. So this plan is going to include a lot of things. We're going to have to start working on this, and so I'm giving the town board a heads up. But we've already got a good start on it, but there's going to be a lot more work required this winter. But this is just to approve the plan as stands now for September, October. Resolution 4.25.
Resolution to amend 2020 budget.
All right. So I only deal with generally the bigger things. 12,000 is shifting into HR consulting. We've outsourced our HR, and we never set an appropriation for it. So this is taking out of the fund balance and putting 12,000 in for HR consultant work. And then you see the 50,000 one. Foster Avenue and that whole area, Queensbury Gardens, Route 9, there are stormwater issues there as well. So we need to develop a comprehensive program to try and solve that, such as the culvert on Rudley Road, if you're familiar with Queensbury Apartments back there, Queensbury Gardens, I should say. The culvert's not big enough, it probably needs to be replaced, and there's other things being identified by the engineers. We are working with the landowners to improve that stormwater situation. I know that many people who live on Foster Avenue complain, the flooding in their backyards, even the flooding going down Foster Avenue at some big rain event. This is probably going to occur more and more and more as we have global warming and we have these bigger and bigger and more drastic events. We're trying to deal with it. This area now will take an appropriation we set aside. We may not spend it, but it's setting aside a capital program to take care of the issues. I think we will work at solving or mitigating some of the problems. Okay. Did you catch that, Mr. Freer?
I did.
Resolution approving audit of bills. All right, Karen, sorry.
That's right. A resolution approving audit of bills, warrants of September 2nd, 2020 and September 15th, 2020.
All right, fund dates of September 1st and September 10th. Payment dates of September 2nd and September 15th, totaling $325,873.38 and $1,078,220.16. And the last one. I'm more relieved than you are.
Resolution reappointing members to Town Ethics Board.
All right. We have 5 members of the Town Ethics Board. Paul Abbott, Steve Kosky, Kurt Koskinen, Patty Murray, and Lisa Wolfton. Some have 4-year terms and they expire at 2022, and some are expired May 5th, 2020, and it slipped by us. We asked them if they wanted to continue. They said yes. So this is to continue the terms in our Town Ethics Board, Christian Murray and Lisa Wolfsit, 4 years. So if this is set tonight, their terms will not expire until May 5th, 2024. All right, and those are the resolutions before the town board. So I will ask for, to see if the public has any thoughts they'd like to share on any of the resolutions before the town board tonight. And I'll ask the public here if there's any of these resolutions you are here to speak to. I'll ask you first, and then I'll go to Zoom, and then I'll go to
You have a hand.
you two. Yes, sir, please come forward.
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Samansko, and I'm a certified stormwater contractor. And I have some comments about the Northwest Village. And basically, what I see there is, like you were saying, John, that if we fix one problem, we could possibly have another problem. And I know the neighbor that is complaining. I recall the issue on that very storm. I believe it was last year. Is that correct? In September?
What happened?
For the rainstorm when it came down West Mountain.
Well, we had one Halloween, and that was this year, or October of the recent year, of 2019. And yeah, so I think it was Halloween.
Okay. So pretty much what happened, we had the heavy rainstorm, and the culvert that is actually in our shared driveway got overrun, overflowed the driveway, and went into Jim and Jen Dobkowski's home. So they were pretty irritated about it. They called their insurance. Their insurance didn't want to do anything about it, so then they're trying to point fingers at somebody else. In the meantime, they hired a shoddy contractor to do the work, which actually made the problem worse, causing mold into their home because they actually put drainage stone along their foundation and dead-ended drainage pipes facing into the home, which then caused mold and water damage into their basement. So, me being a resident of Northwest Village and being right there on the front lines and witnessing everything, I think before the town spends that kind of money on the engineering for the whole village, since there's only one home that's really being affected here, we should reevaluate and study the non-permitted work that the Dobkowskis had done and see, if there's a solution that they should be taking care of to solve their problem.
Thomas, what's your last name again?
Samansko.
Could you please spell that?
It's Semansko.
Thank you.
SCSZEMANCO.
SCO.
SCO. Okay. All right, Thomas, we are not going to go on private property, well, I shouldn't say we are, but usually we don't go on private property. If we're going to fix a problem, it's usually in the road, in our right of way, and so forth. And it's not just the Dobkowskis.
Dobkowski.
Right. So it's other people and other issues as well. And you're right, the reason why we're going to do the study is that if we're going to solve a problem, we're not going to create more down the road, we're going to solve everybody's problems.
Right.
But if we do nothing, we're not solving anybody's problems. So it's not just the Kowski. It's the whole thing.
There's some serious runoff.
Yeah, I mean, it hits my house too. And, there's a ledge all over. You dig down a foot and you hit ledge. It's going to be a huge engineering feat, and it could be, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to really fix it.
Well, we don't know, so the study will kind of point us in a particular direction. Maybe it won't be that expensive, maybe it will. We'll have to deal with that when it comes.
Right.
But thank you for your input.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak to any of the resolutions before the town board tonight? Anybody here? Anybody on Zoom? Anybody watching us on YouTube would like to call in at area code 518-761-8225. All right, I'm not hearing anybody or anything. Thoughts on any of the town resolutions, on the resolutions before you tonight? Are there any resolutions you would like to have a roll call vote on?
John, just a comment about the COVID plan. I think as we move forward, we're, I think, going to be in a new normal for a while. But I've gotten some feedback about, when we should expect the next steps in opening some of the town or getting back to what was a more open environment. So I think as we plan our next version of the plan, COVID, we should try to let folks know that, the new normal may never get back to as open a town hall and a town activities as we experienced prior to COVID.
That's a good point. Also, in line with that, the new normal today, tomorrow's another
Could be, yeah, exactly, absolutely.
So, well, we are dealing with it as best we can. And I think, New York State, the town of Queensbury, I think we're doing pretty effectively. Knock on wood. You can't find wood anymore. Anyways, I'll cross my fingers and hope for good luck to that. Our hard work at this plan is paying off. All right. So if there's no further discussions on any of the resolutions, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolutions 4.1 through 4.27.
So moved.
All right, moved by Councilperson Brown, seconded by Councilperson Freer. Roll call vote on that, please, Karen.
Councilperson McGee? Yes. Stroud?
Yeah.
Medevere?
Yes.
Freer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Okay. Any correspondence?
Yes, I have two. I have a letter from Helen Doolin of 11 Sunset Assembly Point regarding installing a marked crosswalk at the intersection of Assembly Point Road and Sunset Lane. And then I also have the Community Development and Building and Codes monthly report for August. I'm filing the town clerk's office.
Okay. Thank you. All right, now, if there's anyone here to speak about any town topic, this is your opportunity to do so. I will give the people present the first opportunity, and then we'll do Zoom, and then we'll do YouTube. Anybody present like to come forward and talk? Yes, sir. Please identify yourself for the record.
My name is Paul Price. I live at 59 Waverly Place. And I had a stroke on July 29th. I got up in the morning and the stroke hit me. My wife called 911 and the ambulance responded from West Glens Falls. My wife also called my son, who lives up on Maple Drive up by Pickle Hill. And he got there at the same time as the ambulance. This led me to question why the ambulance comes from West Glens Falls when we have an ambulance fairly close by in Bay Ridge. In fact, the ambulance from Bay Ridge goes right across the street to the Glen. The average travel difference between the two groups is about 9 minutes. It takes West Glen Falls about 9 minutes longer to get to my house than it would on average Bay Ridge. So we started a petition just at Waverly Place. There's 56 townhomes there. I have signed petition from 70 people. Many are still not home. They're on vacation. Asking that the board consider realignment of the EMS map
to include Waverly Place in the Bay Ridge Ambulance District. It's nothing against West Glens Falls. The group that took me to the hospital, they were excellent. I have no complaints whatsoever, except for the distance and the time, which they have no control over. And it seems unreasonable that the border goes right down Motorbrook Drive, and on one side you have, the Bay Ridge, and on the other side they have to come all the way from West Glens Falls. The border should be somewhere else. And quite frankly, as I looked at the outline of the borders in the whole town, I think there's a lot of changes I would make to what has been laid out in the past. And I understand that you've had a consultant take a look at it. I understand you're working on it. But I wonder what the timeline is and where the project is in terms of making those changes that are going to be more reasonable. I have a copy of the petition I'd like to give to the supervisor.
Yes, would you please give them to Karen? And she will get copies to us. All right, thank you, Paul. And Paul, you're right. To answer your question, we have done a study. The results of that study, we did a preliminary discussion of them last month. They again were reviewed by our 3 squads. And we're having Paul Bishop of CGR, an independent, not from this area, do the independent review of our needs. One of the things discussed is that we take a look at our alignment, because this is an efficiency study, not only at cost, but for service. We do want to provide you with the best service. When you have some situation like you did, we want the fastest response to take care of your needs as we possibly can get you. Currently, the system is based on the population distribution as it was in Queensbury in the 1950s. And as you and I both know, Queensbury has gone through a whole lot of changes since the 1950s. Well, at least I can speak for my age, but I can't speak for you. And I was around here in the 1950s. We've changed a lot. I mean, I grew up on a farm on top of Miller Hill. Gamble's Bakery was our garage. We had a car and bus garage there. We also had a farm with horses and chickens. We plowed the fields. We had pastures. And this was before the Northway even came in. And when the Northway came in, we used that to, on a winter day, to pull our sleighs out there because they had graded it and they hadn't paved it, and they wouldn't pave it for a couple of years after they graded it. It was perfect for a horse's sleigh. My point is that Queensbury has changed so much in the 70 years we're talking about. It's time to take a look at the efficiencies in terms of cost and efficiencies and in terms of addressing our citizen needs in the most energetic and most time responsible way that we can. And this study we're coming together for our final meeting in about, I think it's the 20-some-odd-3rd, I'm thinking, of September. Then we're going to go to a public hearing, and then this town board is going to take a look at the results of the study and make recommendations. So I'm hoping this winter will resolve this. Unfortunately, you could say it should be resolved tomorrow, and I can't disagree with you. But the process has to happen. I understand your problem, and I do very much appreciate you and the residents and the input, because I sent your story to Paul Bishop, the guy that's doing the study for CGR, and he thanked me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else like to speak to the topic? Yes, sir. Please come forward. State your name for the record.
That's fine.
I hate that when you walk all the way to the
I'm that guy.
way out and lift your mask.
Darn, I did it again. Hi, John. My name's Tim McNulty, 4th Ward resident. Comment concerning the board's approach to the reduction in tax revenue for this year. I understand that we're currently looking at a 6% reduction in tax revenue. for the year. I just watched the board approve, mine back of the envelope numbers, about $200,000 in spend, a new hire, and a promotion. And I'd just like to know how the board's going to approach the anticipated loss in revenue from the taxes for this year.
Well, we're going to be doing, Tim, we're going to be doing a lot of budget discussions. We've started them. And as you know, we'll be going through October and November. But preliminarily, yes, revenues will be down. But keep in mind that this town board has always supported having a healthy fiscal policy. And that policy included having enough fund balance and cash reserves to take us through moments like we're experiencing now. So there probably won't be anything horrible that will happen because we planned for this kind of thing in the town of Queensbury. But still, your point's well taken. We will have to address them. We will look at them. And but we're not in bad a shape as some other municipalities are. But again, your topic is very important, and I thank you for bringing it forward.
And it's a testimony to the work that you've done in terms of that, situating that. But the report on the budget review for 2019 had expressed that the town was too dependent on tax revenue. At least that was a concern from the auditor. So I think that plays into this as well.
Well, you mean
Sales tax revenue.
Correct.
Yeah, not tax revenue, because our taxes are very low. I mean, if you have a $250,000 house, chances are your taxes aren't any more than a couple $100.
But the auditor's comment concerning the reliance on
On sales tax revenue.
Correct.
And that's entirely right. Sales tax revenue, though, in Warren County is only down 7.5%. Other counties around New York are experiencing losses of 30%. And some maybe perhaps more. We're kind of fortunate that Lake Shores has turned out to be a very desirable area. And as you know, the car show this last week, and you couldn't budge in Lake George.
I'm not sure that was a positive thing for Lake George.
The voting on Lake George, but the point it is, I'm trying to make is, there is some sales tax being generated in our county. We're not ghost town USA. We're actually doing pretty well considering. But again, Tim, all your points are taken, and we'll enjoy your participation in our discussion as we move forward.
I look forward to it as well. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Anybody else like to talk to the town board about any town issue? Nobody here? Yes, sir. Thomas?
John Simansko. I originally wrote a lengthy letter about the short-term rentals and the challenges that we're facing here in the community. There's a lot of people that are unhappy about short-term rentals, and then, of course, there's a lot of people that are for them. I myself, I own a resort in Lake George. I also own about 12 short-term rentals in the area, and I think that the rules and regulations that you guys had passed some months back are very good, and they're definitely doing what they intended to do by helping to self-regulate and weed out the bad apples. I also want to say that I think it's very important as we move forward with possibly tweaking some of these rules that we don't forget that we are a travel destination, and we definitely want to maintain that as there is a lot of competition now for different travel destinations. And we also need to keep up with the trends with Airbnb, VRBO. More and more people want to rent homes. They don't necessarily want to rent a small hotel room. And COVID-19 has only accelerated that. As noted in a Business Insider article where doctors were interviewed and they studied the health and safety between hotels and home rentals and found that home rentals are the much safer option. People are traveling in bigger groups. They want yards, they want kitchens, and all in all, they want homes. Now, I'm not against regulation. I definitely think that there should be regulation. And some of the things that I mentioned to John is that I definitely think we should implement permits, fire and safety inspections, security devices, motion devices, noise monitors. Many of these things Lake George already does, and I implement them in all of my properties voluntarily, and has very positive outcome for me at my properties. I never have any issues. And if there is an issue, it's able to be squashed almost immediately. And it's definitely a touchy subject between both sides of the table, neighbors and owners. But we definitely need to find a happy medium to where both parties can be happy and live in peace. I think if we talk about restricting the number of days you can rent, that's going to ultimately hurt us as a community. Think about the millions of dollars that we have spent to try to make this a year-round destination. We've always been a summer place, and we've been trying to make Lake George more of a winter destination as well. If you try to restrict it to 90 days, like Lake Placid has, then nobody's going to want to rent their properties here in the winter because they're not going to make as much money. They're only going to want to rent in the summer, making this place a ghost town yet again in the wintertime. So that's just the major concern that I have as I rent all my properties year round. And I also think that if we do that, similar things will happen to this town with lawsuits, because Lake Placid, as they're restricting, there's all these lawsuits coming out now, which is just a horrible thing for everybody. But that's really the only comments that I have to say about that. And I look forward to hearing any ideas that you guys have in the future.
All right, Thomas, thank you very much. Your input is very much appreciated. And there are members of the town board, and we'll probably speak to it later, that want to do more work on short-term rental law.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else here like to speak to the town board about any town topic? Seeing none present, none on Zoom. Anybody like to call in at area code 518-761-8225? All right, well, thank you all for your input, very much appreciated. So now let's go to town board discussions. Amanda, let's start with you.
I wanted to commend Queensbury Schools. It's the only school district that I have involvement with, but my 3 kids went back to school last week, hybrid. I think everyone was apprehensive, but as a family that chose not to use the buses, we witnessed the management of the cars and the students, and it was both structured and compassionate. And even though I continue to be nervous, I thought they just did a wonderful job, and so I wanted to say that. And the other thing I wanted to say, and I'm glad that Mr. McNulty is here tonight. I think if you use the Nextdoor app, or if you've been on Facebook or read the paper lately, there have been people defacing political signs for all parties. Yard signs have been stolen and tipped over, and I just think we're a better community than that. And so I'm hoping that people will stop that and understand that a lot of people have cameras and are capturing what's happening. So just let's be as good as we can be. There were a bunch that were knocked over on the corner of Veterans Way and Upper Sherburne, which I had pulled over and reset, and had someone yell at me as I was doing it, but it's called for.
And the perennial problem. Yeah, anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Councilperson Peralta.
Yes.
George?
You're going to talk about, I don't want to steal your thunder, New York State put out a press release about Car Free for Climate, that there is a, New York State has a Climate Week 2020, September 21 through September 27. and they're asking people to go car-free for one day during that week. They said rather than use your car, take a walk, use a bike, use some other form of
Motorcycles count?
non-combustible transportation. But I thought that was kind of cool.
Car free.
Yes, car free. Yeah, I didn't see my motorcycle free. But I thought that was kind of cool that they put that out. And also, the Chamber of Commerce put out a notice today, and just a open letter to the governor. Our state is going to have, or does have, a fiscal crisis right now, and there are a lot of cuts coming down the road. But just reminding the governor that we are all under the gun in terms of COVID and revenues being down, and we're limited to 2% tax cap. We can't incur additional unfunded mandates, that the state expects, maybe the towns or the counties to pick up. So I thought that was good that they put that out there just to keep everybody honest.
Yes.
That's all I've got.
Michael Biddle did a nice job with that time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, George. Harrison?
So I'm going to yield to you on your SDR comments. There is discussions, but I attended a Bay Road, Quaker Road County Zoom meeting that I briefly talked to the board about, but they need to replace the bridge over Halfway Brook just north of Quaker on Bay. They're going through that process. The choices were limited Quaker Road closures in a 4 to 6 month job, or close a small stretch across the Halfway Brook of Bay with workarounds for a 4 to 6 week period. And they're recommending that the latter. And I concur with that. Some discussions about timing that Kevin Hajos was open to, but that won't occur next summer, but summer of 2022. We'll have fun and games for 6 weeks getting from on Bay Road. So I think they're doing a good job. They had a good presentation, and it's available if anybody wants to see it and get prepared. I don't know how you really do that, but that was a good thing. I guess my other two comments are, Paul, I'm glad you're here with us and that you have a full and speedy recovery from your July stroke. And secondly, my wife and daughter and 2 granddaughters are out in Oregon with smoke everywhere. And so please keep the West Coast fires and the South hurricanes in our thoughts and prayers.
All right, thank you, Harrison. Tony?
Nothing really. I was just going to mention happy to see some progress on our roads. Ridge Road's getting paved this week. Peckham Road Corp has done a phenomenal job. The poor woman who was directing traffic the other day, I just could not believe how well she did. I actually stopped the car to commend her on it because she's dealing with people going in every different direction, going over 90 or 149. So the road's beautiful, and it looks like, hoping and praying, that they're going to start East Sunnyside soon, because that road's a disaster. I see that they've marked it up, and I'm going to have a big party when that road gets done. It's all.
I'll hold you to that.
All right.
Motorcycles only, huh?
You can't even ride a bicycle on that road right now. So
I know. I've tried it.
Oh yeah, you would. Yeah, that's right. But no, beyond that, like you said, Queensbury School, phenomenal job. My daughter was very reluctant to the stay-at-home thing, but she had a pretty good day today, and she enjoys being in school a lot more, and that's just who she is. But they're making the most of it. Yeah. So it's been good so far. I just hope we can stay, keep everybody safe. So we'll see.
Okay, that's it, Tom? Thank you, Tom. All right, I got a couple.
Uh-oh.
All right, as they surface in my little notebook here, receiver of taxes, which is Caroline Barber. We all understand making out her checks or you're going to be making out her checks. All right, we are now accepting school tax payments. And due to COVID-19, when paying by check, the receiver is encouraging the use of the U.S. postal mail and the security deposit box located outside the town office. The town office building, this is called the Activity Center. The town office building is the one that addresses Bay Road, and it has a circular driveway. And the first entrance, the southern entrance, right next to that is a drop box. So you can go and you can drop off your checks, or you can mail them, but if you insist on coming here and dropping them off, you can put it in that, and it goes right into a safe. So you don't have to worry, it's very secure. So she's suggesting that you can use those services. We're trying to limit the in-person exposure, not prohibit it, limit it. Okay. So additionally, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. each business day, there will be staff at the outside table. And they will accept and receive payments if you have a check only. Cash, you're still going to have to come inside. But if you have a check, they got a table set up under the canopy at the southern entrance to the town office building. And it really was a great idea, and it's worked quite well in keeping people from, because when we allow people in the building, hopefully nobody has COVID, but if you do, the exposure and the risk increases. All right, the office is open for cash and credit card payments Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 a.m. to 3:45. Please be advised that when entering the building, each customer must adhere to a screening process. You have to have a mask on, and you'll have to sign a statement saying that you've had none of these exposures, and that you'll have to take a temperature, and then you can proceed forward if you're going to pay for cash or you insist on paying with a check in person. But like I said, we have the table out there, and we have the drop box. So residents can also utilize the online portal to make either credit card payments or e-check payments. Any questions, call Caroline Barber at area code 518-761-8234. All right, now let's talk about posters and the election time. There are at least two that I know of in town. One is on the corner of Sunnyside North and Dream Lake Road. And another one is over by the firehouse in West Montreal. And it's not about who you want to vote for or who you're advocating for other people to vote for. But when you put an obscene word in your poster, that is not allowed. It's not free speech. And I insist that you take it down or we will prosecute. Not the particular president that you're advocating for. That you can leave up there. That is free speech. And that I'm not going to touch. And I will fight with my life your right to advocate for whomever you wish to advocate. Okay? And I may disagree with you, but that's part of this country. But if you're going to add obscene words that children are going to see, that is wrong. And if you don't realize that's wrong, then you're going to face our court system. I'm going to give you about a week to clean this up. Don't have to take down the poster. Cover the obscene word. Just cover the obscene word. Okay? The rest of it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's beautiful. But that obscene word, we are a family community. We are a community. And I haven't heard from anybody that agrees with the two people in town that I know of that have put this ban on. Okay? No more need to be said. Some of the cases I'll see you in court. All right. We try and do good things. The property transfer law was a good thing. Other municipalities have copied that. Queensbury started. And that's good, because it's a good thing. If they do a good thing, we'll copy them. We have found, through our investigation, septic inspection upon property transfer law, that almost 80% of those systems being inspected needed some attention. Most of them, it was a relatively small adjustment, but it improved the system. So the septic inspection law, and thank you, Dave Haddon, and all his efforts, is done very well. Okay, so we have the hemlock algae near our area. The Fund for Lake George is working on this. I got a letter or a phone call from DEC, and I have that here someplace. We have found the algae, which attacks the hemlock trees. It's just north of Queensbury on the east side of Lake George in the towns of Fort Anne and Dresden. The Fund for Lake George is putting together a task force working with the DEC to address this issue. And they are going to be asking the town board for your support too, moving forward. Even though it's not directly in the town of Queensbury at this time, if we don't act, it could be. In any event, any municipality around Lake George, when you're talking about Lake George and you're talking about the death of hemlock trees, you're talking about a serious environmental situation that needs to be addressed. More on that. Oh, okay, and then I got this great picture of our folks sitting out in front of the building taking your checks. All right. Okay, DE spokesman David Winchell said approximately 550 acres of forest on the east shore of Lake George in the towns of Fort Anne and Dresden are infested with hemlock woolly algae, and they will begin treatment on the affected trees in the near future. No knowledge of affected trees in the town of Queensbury, but wanted us to be aware. And I know that Eric Sy and the Fund for Lake George are already putting together an attack force, if you will. All right. The town's EV station, we have 2 here. We have 2 at Hubby Pond Park, and we have 2 near exit 18 at the visitors placement. Some people use as a park and ride. That's fine. We have 2 there. They're up and running. So Queensbury has 6 up and running EV stations. And I also want to mention while we're offering public services, that we have Wi-Fi out here in the parking area. So if you live in an area of Queensbury that doesn't have strong Wi-Fi and your student or you have to do homework, you can come here. We've activated our Wi-Fi here for a drive up, no password required kind of thing. It's very protected, it's very isolated, and stored text together, and they're the best. So, okay. I wanted to tell you about that. All right, we were up on Assembly Point looking at the need for crosswalks. And Councilperson George Brown is the chairperson of the newly created Town of Queensbury Road Safety Committee. It includes people from the Sheriff Department, people from the Highway Department. It includes people that are going to work with George to assess the claims. We get all kinds of claims about their roads, and a lot of them are very legitimate, and a lot of them require us to do something. So we got a group of citizens and experts together to assess these situations. This is one matter, but as you know, from listening to this town board meeting, there's lots of others. So George has a big job on his hands. Good luck, George.
You also might mention that We did do 2 site visits for the installation of the radar signs, which shortly will be going up. And we have a 3rd set that we still need to do a site visit for.
Yes, thank you, George.
How many sets do we have?
3 sets, six total.
I got a call from someone the other day that, again, lots of complaints about Jenkinsville. Trucks coming down the hill, cars coming down the hill. And she had a brilliant idea that I ran past Dave Duell, who didn't think it was so brilliant. But my suggestion to her was to put a speed sign there to see if we could slow the traffic down. Her suggestion was actually to make it a 4-way stop at the bottom of the hill. And I know that you can't use stop signs as a speed control device, but her argument was actually pretty good.
Is it a 30-mile-per-hour road?
It is a 30-mile-an-hour road.
Okay.
And I explained to her we can't lower the speed limit, nor would it do any good. The problem is that hill is so steep, and the trucks get going down that. They must love
Are
going
they trucks
down.
coming out of the sand pits?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And they must love going down it versus going up it, because I follow them going up and it's 2 miles an hour, but going down they're bucket there.
Yeah.
So her thought was, if we discourage them by making them stop at the bottom of that hill, maybe they would go another way.
I mean, we've got 2, and again, if it's one direction, we could put one.
And it is only one direction.
Yeah.
It's definitely only one direction.
All right, well, that's something.
Is the road rather straight? Because
It's-
there was one spot we looked at which we just couldn't find a spot for it, because you have to have something like 1,200 feet of straight.
That hill is straight as an arrow.
Okay.
And then it comes down and then it gets curvy, and you can't. Yeah, people can speed around the curve.
Okay, well, let's you guys decide that, because I have a couple of places too, but that's what this committee is going to do, right? You're going to serve on it, right?
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
Can I just run through you about
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but
You're
we're,
on the committee.
You're on
Just
it.
wanted-
you need
You don't remember that?
Yeah, you need 1,200 feet of straight. So what happens is, as the sign picks up the vehicle coming down, and you said what the speed is that you want the warning to go out. So let's say if it's a 30-mile-per-hour road, you could tell it 32, 35, whatever, that it'll flash the miles per hour you're going. It could also flash a message. So in some cases, they say, slow down, something like that.
I don't think
actually-
the place that I talked to a gentleman in Herald Square, and I don't think it would have the 1,200 feet though.
Yeah, and
I have 2 places in my ward that I'm advocating. Well, one is a downhill, so I agree. I drive that road all the time. But from my standpoint, the more important thing is to collect the data, because they'll track and collect
Correct.
what's going on, and we can quantify what's going on, and then take appropriate action. Whether that's
you just wait and see the data.
I've seen it. I put those up in a parking lot, and I had a guy go 71 miles an hour in the park, 5 mile an hour park.
Did you ever hear about Cleverdale Road? Cleverdale Road is a 25-mile-an-hour road, top speed, 104.
Yeah, we put those signs up there when we were trying to advocate for the bike path.
It had to have been John on his motorcycle. Had to have been.
Well, the old one wouldn't do that.
But you're right about the reporting, and what we'll be able to do is print out those reports and share them with the sheriff's department.
Well, and the public.
In the public. Absolutely.
Okay, and all right, I'm near the end of mine. You'll be glad to hear. But on the topic of short-term rental, and I understand Harrison and Amanda have an interest in possibly forming a committee to take a look at some of the issues. That brings me to the next item. You know how we usually get complaints from the person that owns the property next door to the property that's being rented? We got a complaint from the person who was renting the property, complaining about the person next door who's not renting, they own. So you don't usually expect a reverse complaint to act, but I did do that.
So John, I gave that letter to Dave Hatton, and he said there was more to that story than that letter implied. So we need to make sure that when we get those, we keep Dave in the loop on short-term rentals.
I think it's safe to say that almost anything that you get in a letter from somebody, there's probably more to the story. All right, and there is a public comment period in Warren County, DPW, in regards to what might need to be done to County Route 63, which is Oxbow Hill Road and Moon Hill Road. So they're taking public input on that. You can go to public info at warrencountydpw.com or mail them.
What's the issue there?
Mail them at Warren County DPW,
Construction and delays.
4028 Main Street, Warrensburg, New York.
Construction.
So they're looking at rehabilitating County Route 63, which we also call Oxbow Hill Road and Moon Hill Road.
Probably has to do with when you gotta come out on 149 for visibility.
I almost took out a very dear friend last week, coming down Oxbow Hill. So the FedEx truck, he went to let me go, and he's waving me out. So I went, and there she was.
Oh boy.
I'm like, and the look in her eyes, I'm like, oh crap, it was this close. Because I'm looking at him, it was already clear this way, but she came up over that hill. That's why we got insurance.
Well, when you come down off of 149 down Oxbow Hill Road, and you get to Glen Lake Road, there's no sight distance.
That's it.
Either way.
Yeah, either way.
And not only that, but you're in a bad position. It's incongruent.
Terrible.
All right, almost done. Lake George Park Commission, a lot of work they do for beautiful Lake George, and they have the 2020 Lake George Ace and Clam Lake-wide Survey Final Report issued September 3rd, 2020. David Wick, the Lake George Park Commission Executive Director. You can go on their website and download this if you wish. It's on the Asian Plan. The Park and Rec Commission, you know, our mountain bike trails, we just have new ones. A lot of people don't know, we just added the trails to the Rush Pond Park.
That's feeling good.
They're mountain bike trails, and everyone is saying they're awesome and real good. Thank you, Thomas. But, you know, we've got the home page, the road, salsa, surf, coaster. They're different levels, and they're all graded. They have color markings. So if you're a beginner, there's some trails, intermediate. If you're expert, there's other trails. We were ranked, the Gurney Lane trails anyways, were ranked #1 in the state. So the Rush Pond trails have just opened. And we are working with the town of Lake George to develop French Mountain Reserve, which are some trails on the side of French Mountain, the top part of which is owned by the town of Queensbury, and the bottom part is owned by the town of Lake George, and the Lake George Land Conservancy all help to make this happen. So we're working with the town of Lake George to develop some mountain bike trails there. We are going to be a region noted for biking in general, safe biking for families, and mountain biking for people of all ages. Of course, when you get to my age, you might want an electric mountain bike. But in any event, I got to give kudos to Queensbury Park and Recreation. What they have done in our community is wonderful. And not only that, I had a discussion with the Glen Falls representative the other day, and they were kind of wondering if, you know, Glen Falls Park and Rec Department is so widely respected, reasonably respected. Even they talk about us in Albany. And if you go to the Gritty Lane Park, you'll see license plates from Vermont, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Jersey, all over. So, you know, our park and rec is a great asset to our tourism development. I don't think they get the recognition they deserve. But in any event, they put out a nice pamphlet, which made me think of that.
I guess we had a parking issue on Rush Pond last week, huh?
You know, that's a great thing. The
People
Rush
love
Pine
that.
Trail, the Rush Pine Trail that we had developed earlier is used by pedestrians and intermediate beginner bicyclers. It's wonderful that everyone's using that and getting exercise and getting fresh air. I mean, maybe COVID, it was getting widely used before, but now it's getting to the point where we don't have parking for everybody. They're parking on West Mountain. I mean, I guess that's a good thing. And you know, I've been biking the bike trail, Warren County Bikeway, and that's a wonderful experience, and it's just amazing the number of people that are using that. These are all good things. And by the way, when I'm thinking of it, Rob Wing of Volt Landscaping, who won the bid to help us develop Halfway Brook Trail, is going to start, he said, Wednesday or Thursday. So I'll need you bridge builders to help out.
Can we get wood yet?
I've got the materials at the top of the hill, and I first designed the bridge myself, but I will need help building it. And so if we can get that done in 3 or 4 days, great. So that's forthcoming. Be ready. Rob's just going to start clearing probably this week, but serious stuff next week and the week after.
But I want Jim Underwood as part of that team, or
Oh, Jim Underwood is my right-hand person. There's no doubt. Dave Hodgson will be there. He's always helpful. Harrison, you're always helpful. You've always been there. I'm going to try and get everybody there. More hands, the merrier.
Many hands make light work.
What's that?
Many hands make light work.
That's right. Can I quote that?
You can. I'll be there with my Jill.
All right, thank you. All right, the other thing, not so much now, but near July 4th, how many of us get the phone call about the fireworks and the children sleeping? It's like the fire sirens, I suppose. But, you know, these fireworks that are going off and they're big bangs and they're like professional fireworks are probably illegal. And here we have Albany County is thinking about banning fireworks. It's a county thing. People come to the town and complain. But the fireworks, approval of fireworks, and it's just basically the sizzler type of fireworks that are permitted and allowed by law. But it seems to give license to everybody to go to other states and buy fireworks that are clearly illegal in New York and set them off. If you prohibited fireworks completely, then I think it's clear. No fireworks, except for those that are licensed and approved, like the Great Estate puts out, West Mountain Ski Center puts out, and Lake George puts out. Those are professionally done. And those are enjoyed. The Glen Symphony, I missed that this year. So, in any event, something you want to think about. And short-term rental, I already mentioned that we're going to be working on that. Okay, so that's my list. Told you it was short. The second game hasn't started yet.
motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn made by Councilperson Freer,
Second.
seconded by Councilperson McGee. Before I vote, I ask for a vote. I just want to thank Phil Barlow from Love TV, State Productions, Town Council, Bob Hafner, and Karen O'Brien, Deputy Town Clerk, Town Board, and the public. Thank you for coming. And please all have a safe good night. All right, now for a vote to adjourn. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Now.